Hi, my name is Jim Prey, and this is the Jim Prey TV show, and we got a good show today. We got 3 guests. Guest number 1 is my friend Fred Mohr, who knows a lot about history and other things, and he should be a contestant on Jeopardy. So, Fred, welcome to the show, and how are you?
I'm doing fairly good, pretty good.
Did you ever think about being a contestant on Jeopardy?
I haven't really thought about it. Usually some of the contestants are, in terms of all the things they know about, are a little bit beyond me, and especially you get into certain subjects. I have some background, other subjects I don't, but.
Okay, well, keep studying, and I hope you eventually become a contestant. Okay, guest number 2 is the World Wrestling Champion, the very handsome, very talented James Walker. So, James Walker, welcome to the show, and how are you?
I'm doing well. The Zap is having a good day.
Okay, so here's your big chance to promote whatever you want to promote.
Well, as everybody knows, I'm the God of Thunder, the world champion of hair removal. So if you've got unwanted hair and you want to get rid of it once and for all, I'll put it down for the count. Executive clearance. If you hate excess hair, call 8XS-HAIR.
Okay. All right, and our third guest is the very beautiful, very talented, first time ever on the show, Tammy Lee. So, Tammy.
Welcome, thank you.
All right, welcome to the show, and how are you today?
I'm great. It's sunny outside. It's not snowing today.
All right,
so I'm well.
And here's your big chance to promote whatever you want to promote.
I want to promote awareness of us being good human beings to each other. I run a network called Genome Carbon Colony 9. We promote everything humanity. So it's like each one teach one. We need to connect back to our humanity selves. And, I know COVID is kind of traumatizing a lot of us, but we still got to focus on that human element. So I create art that brings us back to our human element and connect to each other as human beings. And that's Genome Carbon Colony 9 on all platforms.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. Then you also said that you were involved in the music industry.
Yes, my past life, I was combined total about 15 years in the music industry. Working with, you name it band, I work with them. So basically my background is coming from the music scene. I work for Sony.
So why don't you say some of the bands?
Bob Dylan, Slayer, Metallica. Pretty much I worked in every genre of music and every sector of music, from legal all the way down to PR. So pretty much the whole shebang. What you're seeing play out today in the music scene, that was 25 years in the making of like a whole collective, group of people from different various backgrounds in music, bringing different ideas to light, what you see right now with social media and then things like 360. But pretty much every genre of music, I work with. But I had the most fun working with the legends. They had a segment called Sony Legacy.
Yeah.
Sony Legacy is where you're going to get all the heavy hitters like the Bob Dylan, Smokey Robinson, Michael Jackson. So to have that connection to where music organically comes from, and I can actually touch someone in history and music and communicate with them and hear their stories firsthand, to me, that's what I enjoyed the most.
Okay, and who were the nicest ones to work with for?
I'm going to shock a lot of people when I say Marilyn Manson. Yeah, you see, I shocked you, didn't I?
Yeah.
I shocked you. System of a Down. And then, of course, Bob Dylan. Who else I really... Lyle Lovett.
Really?
What's in it? George Clinton.
Really?
George Clinton.
That's Bill Clinton's brother, right?
Yeah. So a lot of, to me, it's like a lot of people you may think that has that persona of rough around the edges, rocker, they're totally opposite, So a lot of people who actually welcomed me and showed me the ropes and were very open and, you wouldn't think they would be that way, were a lot of people who were like,
Yeah.
Like what they call 5-star status that you would never expect that from.
But I'm shocked that Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, Marilyn Manson. He's actually a very good poet, writer, I don't know if you get a chance to read. I'm a lyric sheet person. Like, I'm big into reading music and
Yeah.
pulling lyric sheet catalog to see what you're talking about, see where your mind is at when you're writing. So it gives me a view of who you are as a person and what your message want to be with music. So
Yeah, because I'm into lyrics too, because I like to read the lyrics, pull them off the internet, and try to figure out what the story behind the song is.
exactly.
Okay. Well, James, I'm going to have to mail you a gold star because you found a very good guess.
Yes.
All right. We're going to have a round table discussion first, and hopefully you give good answers to my questions. Okay, Fred. Question number 1. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, well, let me see. I like, if it's chocolate, I like one that's very, very semi-sweet. And, so I guess I'll go with maybe a very dark chocolate one, maybe like forbidden chocolate or something. But it's hard for me to run all that through and figure out which one I like the best.
Okay, good answer. Okay, James Walker, favorite flavor of ice cream?
You're gonna laugh, but I actually like French vanilla.
Oh, really? I thought you would be sure of like a chocolate guy.
No, my favorite exotic flavor is maple walnut. But
Yeah.
if you're not in Buffalo, you're not getting that.
That's true.
Okay, Tammy Lee.
You're gonna be mad at me. I don't eat ice cream.
Really? Never? And never in your
Gelato,
life?
sorbet, what's your substitute?
I'm not. But if I do taste it, it is the maple walnut or butter pecan. But
Yeah.
I'm not an ice cream connoisseur.
Okay.
I got a funny story for you. I was living in Florida for a while.
Oh, they don't have it. They'll look at you like you're nuts if you ask for maple walnut.
Well, this is the crazy thing. But what they have is praline. So I'm going to all these places, and you can get, butter pecan or praline, but everybody, like you said, maple walnut. What's that? What's that? What's that? I went from Northport, Florida to Fort Myers looking for some maple walnut, and I came across a ice cream shop that made ice cream in the shop, and they had maple walnut. But of course, they were from Buffalo.
Yeah. Okay, I'll even answer this question. It's a tie. Just regular chocolate flavor and maple walnut. I'm surprised other people like maple walnut. Okay.
It's a Buffalo thing.
Yeah,
Everyone
true.
understand.
True.
Okay,
True.
second question. Fred, favorite song?
Well, it's hard for me to put a thing on it. You mean like that somebody performed, or just a song like you're used to, or something?
No, it could be the Canadian national anthem, or it could be anything.
Yeah. Well, I have a number of songs I like. I liked it when Janis Joplin sang Lord, Won't You Buy Me a Mercedes-Benz because of the humor in it.
Really?
And I like several of Olivia Newton-John songs.
Like physical?
Well, you got the physical one and Make a Move at Me, which are sexual, but then she sang some that have a meaning. They have to do with the environment, or they have to do with not only pro-environment, but other ones that have to do with making you feel grateful and feel positive about your life, like Pearls on a Chain, things like that. And if you understand why she's doing it and the purpose and the reason behind the song, then you can understand one of the purposes in it. And this is true of a lot of songs. You can't compare different songs with each other and say which one is better. I don't think you can. But you can pick out certain ones and say this was sung for this reason and this is the message in it.
Okay, good answer. Okay, James, favorite song?
Well, I can hear my favorite song all of the time because my favorite song is Johann Pachelbel's Canon.
Really?
Yes.
Because I thought you would pick like Michael Jackson or something like that.
Well, as the Canon rant will tell you, my favorite song is in all popular music, from the Black Eyed Peas all the way down.
Okay, Tammy, favorite song?
I would say Fly Free Bird, Leonard Skinner.
Really?
That's one of my favorites. I can listen to that every single day. That's like my anthem when I get amped up for like a meeting or if I'm going through like a stressful day. You know,
Because I
Which is
figured,
also Pachelbel's canon.
yeah. So,
I figured since you like Marilyn Manson so well.
no,
that
don't
you
get
would-
me. Yeah, when I listen, I am a metal, reggae, classical, and jazz are my favorite type of genres. But that song, the Free Bird song, it just I can never stop listening to it.
Well, you know.
Let me just throw my favorite. The favorite song is a tie. Yesterday by the Beatles, and another song. I'm very biased about this song. You'll never guess the author. True Blue Pal.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Can you guess who the author was? Me.
Well, that explains it.
Well, one of the things that I did notice is I like some of Quiet Riot because I didn't like it if the background drowned out the vocal. And one of the things I gave Quiet Riot credit for,
What's the balance?
they magnified their own voice to such a level that you heard them.
Yeah, they just we call that. I started off as a sound engineer,
Right.
so when metal is like depending on your audience,
Yeah.
your vocals are based on that. So if you're gonna do some death metal stuff, you're gonna be more distorted. So it just depends on that era. Like right now, everything is more got a hip hop kind of connotation to it. If you're gonna do anything rock now, or you got to have either like a country, So everything, I think, time changes our ears, and then with today, with so much commercial music being having to be reborn, you got to find creative ways to give it to the youth. So our ear, is different than a millennial, and because the frequency changes, according to generation and in music.
Right.
So right now, everything the beats permitted is more sped up. So that's why it's hard for you. Like today, right now, is what they call music is like water. You know how you turn on the faucet? It's all disposable.
Right.
So it's like who's going to be the elevator music if everything's coming at you at once. So it's fortunate for the old, or what I say, legends, they still have their place because you can't really replace a lot of the music we hear today in a more softer tone.
That's interesting. Okay, third question. Fred, favorite band?
Favorite bands?
Yeah, like Beatles, Rolling Stones, something like that.
Something like, yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I do like some of the Beatles, but I'm not quite sure.
No, how about the Olivia Newton-John band? She had a band, right?
Well, yeah, but all of these top singers were accompanied
Yeah.
and she was accompanied, and this is one of the things I gave her credit for over Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt showed up, and her live performance was lousy because even though she was a great singer, they put her in an awful outfit. They really made her look bad, which took a real effort. And there was no change. You would have got entertained more if you listened to a CD at home. Whereas Olivia was more diverse. And then I did like when I went to an Alice Cooper concert. I liked that, even though I didn't care for him as a singer at all. But boy, he put on a show. He put on a good show.
He does.
Great big spiders and everything,
Yeah.
And so, a lot depends on like when you go to the concert, if they actually put on a good. And then I did see Paula Abdul, and I saw her a while ago on TV, and she still looks hot.
So you like a lot of pop music, I see.
Well, yeah, the different kinds of it and stuff like that, and under certain circumstances, and and I've been to a few concerts. Actually, almost all of them have been Olivia concerts.
Yeah.
but
Okay, so Fred, that's a good answer. So James Walker, favorite band?
Before I get to that, I just want to say I got a lot of heat back in the 90s when I told people Paula Abdul's Under My Spell tour
Yeah.
totally kicks Madonna's Blonde Ambition tour out of the park. If you can only pay for one of those, go see Paula. It was totally a tight show. Madonna's was loosey-goosey, and it was much more better choreography. And she even did a thing where she dueled herself on the video screen. For that
Really?
matter,
Yeah, but you know, Paula Abdul wrote the script. She was actually a choreographer for like Janet Jackson,
Right,
Madonna.
right.
So, you know.
it was a much better show.
Yeah. So of course she's the GOAT.
And her entrance was the best because they started the show with Straight Up. And you're watching the video screen and they show you the intro that you know. And at some point,
She comes.
she does a backflip and comes through the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So that was her entrance, through the screen.
That was epic.
Did you like her with the cat?
Yeah, I did too. I enjoyed it.
Okay, so James,
Well,
a favorite band?
those people who know me will know my favorite band is Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace, Kiss.
Oh wow, that's a good choice.
Was this Kiss before the makeup or after the makeup?
Kiss and makeup, my God.
Yeah, how dare I ask a question like that?
You want to start fights in the
Yes.
Kiss?
With
Well,
no makeup.
Yeah, really. Kiss
Well,
with no makeup.
didn't they start out with no makeup? Then they put the makeup on, and then later on they.
No. They were always in makeup from the very first show. They took off the makeup for a short period of time, and then went back into the makeup.
Oh, so I'd seen them with when they took the makeup off. Yeah,
Right.
but then what? A lot of people complain and say, "Hey, we want the makeup."
No, well, that's a difficult thing. The band wanted to take the makeup off because the thing that the critics always said was, Kiss is just a show.
Yeah.
They don't have any musical talent or any ability, and without all of the glam and glitz, this just goes away. So taking the makeup off was a thing of, oh yeah, we'll show you. So they took off the makeup. They did about 3 or 4 albums without makeup, and they still were able to go gold. They were still able to do national and world tours, but then they did this thing where, on a lark, they showed up at the Grammys in full makeup,
Mm-hmm.
the original 4 members, because they had done MTV's acoustic show, Unplugged.
Unplugged.
Yeah.
So
Classic.
the entire band of living members were all in the same place at the same time. And so they said, hey, why don't we do this? The Grammys are up, let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't have invitations. We'll put on our makeup. Who's going to stop us? And so they went in a limo, got out of the limo in full makeup, walked to the back door, and everybody was like, come on in, come on in.
Yeah.
But when they got in, people were like, you want to do something fun? Like what? You want to go on stage? Who's going to say no? So they go on stage, they got this big pop from the audience, and it just had its own momentum because, well, hey, the original 4 members and in makeup. And it ended up leading to an album and the biggest tour of the 90s.
That's a cool story. Okay, Tammy, favorite band.
Favorite band, I gotta go Earth, Wind, and Fire. Because they wrote the blueprint for pretty much a lot of stuff. So that they get that all, hands down.
Yeah.
That was
You
on
was-
some futuristic outer space, mixing every type of sound frequency that's good for the soul. That's like real soul music. When we hear the
Right.
term soul music, we associate it sometimes with a color.
Yeah.
And soul is not that. It's just a music that touches your soul. And you can only do that through a certain frequency. So when you have that frequency, you may feel the goosebumps, brain, you get happier, you feel good, you want to dance. That's soul music. So I think Earth, Wind, and Fire does it for me.
Yeah, they had some good songs. Okay.
There's a couple things I wanted to just interject here.
Yeah.
On the subject of a favorite band, it was really funny. I was talking with some friends once, many years ago,
Yeah.
and I said, well, to me, the definition of a favorite band is kind of specific. A, it's got to be a band that you generally like everything that they've put out. not 100%, but let's say 80-90% of their output.
Correct.
But two, and more problematic, it has to be a band that is a current, ongoing entity. Because, you know, if you say your favorite band is the Beatles, well, their last album was in 1970. What? So I said, you know, my problem at that time is Kiss is not an ongoing entity right now. They haven't put out an album in X amount of time at the time.
Right.
So I'm kind of adrift on the thing about who my favorite band is. And my friend's like, okay, well, using your criteria, who's your current favorite band if you do the numbers? And I suddenly said, oh my God, that means my favorite band right now is Roxette.
Really?
I think I gotta recalibrate.
Well, I would sort of have to disagree with you that they gotta be a current band. Because you could still, you know, on the internet, watch tapes. You could still watch videos of the Beatles. And
I did say that this was a flawed concept.
And I agree with that.
And the other thing is music frequencies. I like that you said that, because there is certainly a difference in how music affects people, and if you put on something from a different time, a different place, it literally does have a totally different feel. And you get into the music theory like the infamous Devil's Third.
Or the magic flute.
No.
Things like that. But that all goes down to, like, you know, even today's music, like, a lot of people don't understand sounds. There's no new sounds. You can only, like, juggle them around in your mind and how you want to share it with the world. But a lot of times, a lot of those sounds come from somewhere.
Right.
It has a place and time, you know, in our past. And, you know, due to a lot of our own ignorance, people don't do their research, they don't read, or they don't care, whatever your reasoning is. But the basis of music is to touch your soul. And everything you put into the ear affects your brain, whether you want to admit it or not.
Right.
So everything you hear, you know, your ears are... That's why I take good care of my ears. People care about their eyes more than anything, but it's your ears, because that's the entry point to a lot of things that people don't really they take for granted. So
I agree with it. Okay.
I got a good one for you. The song from Sarah Bareilles, "Get Over You." My friends and I were listening to that, and I said, I know that this is a riff on something else. And since my friends were all musicians, I'm like, come on, you got to know what this song is a riff off of. And they're like, no, it's just like in the style of... No. This is a direct riff on something that we all
you heard it before, yeah.
Knew. And then later that day, I walk into a grocery store, and they're playing Jackson Brown's "Doctor My Eye," and I'm like, that's it! This song is "Doctor My Eye."
Really?
Yeah.
I really like that Jackson Brown song. Yeah.
And that's where we get into up today, where we're having a lot of arguments in, you know, a lot of with music, because fair use has changed the game, where you can pretty much be oblivious and ignorant and act like you don't know who Jackson Brown is, you know. So when you have you have the, you know, the new school versus the old school, and when that guy comes and says that's my riff, you know, you got to pay the guy. Like, you know, I could say, to me, I'm very stickler on every artist protecting their works, every artist understanding their ability to reach a crowd, every artist understanding what you need to protect, and then your right to, for someone, you know, we don't have a right, because we feel social media, internet can have you feeling like you could take anything you want. It's all on the table. Right. But the reality is, if I come to your job and I take this computer, it's yours, right? Yeah. I can't go like, I'm going to take this computer and go over here and do my own thing. It's not that simple. You gotta, you know, people dedicated their blood, sweat, and tears. You remember today, what's missing today, if we get back to the band, there is no bands. You know, these young kids can't say that, because right now they push the band to the back. And I don't know if you guys watch award shows. Have you watched an award show?
Sometimes.
You seen a band lately?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They're in the. You understand? They hide them.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing like, you know, that's for a reason, because right now, you know, with everybody, it's like every man for himself. So now they promote it over the last 15 years. You promote this individualism. You know, so the band disappears. So now you begin to get comfortable with taking without asking, because you think this guy should be lucky to be heard. And that, to me, it's an ultimate disrespect to people who sacrifice their life, blood, sweat, and tears. And we got to be fair to everybody. You know, everybody can eat off one song. It's not that serious. It's just people, the mindset of I want to be first, or I want it now type of mentality, which I understand how a lot of the old timers get pissed off when, you know, new people just take it and don't say anything. You know, I tell everybody, if you're a new band, if Tom Petty comes and say you stole his riffs, pay the guy, because you're not going to win this fight. You understand? So you got to be realistic and be honest, you know, with your work and how you put it out, and your inspirations. And because we're lying to ourselves when I hear people say, oh, I don't get inspired by anybody. No one just got here. You can't just say, you understand, you didn't just show up. Something inspires you. We all grow from each other. We all take from each other as far as energy, knowledge, whatever it is. But just, you know, just act like you just showed up and you're entitled to something. That's, to me, the ultimate disrespect. And I understand, and I wholeheartedly see how a lot of older band members and writers and songwriters get pissed off, because that is like a disrespect. This is their livelihood. This is how they eat. This is how they're going to feed their families. Right. You know, so it's just, we gotta like start having those conversations and being honest about what we're doing.
Well, I'm saying I don't have a problem if somebody like steals part of a melody or lyrics and they do it by accident, but I have a problem with if somebody knows it and does it on purpose. Yeah, then I have a problem with it. Yeah, and
I feel the same way. And trust me, people know. You understand? You know, and you should always have that guy or that person or someone on your team or around you, even the sound engineer. Hello, sound engineers, because most sound engineers are very, very versed in music. The mix down guy pretty knows everything.
I wonder if there's an app or a computer program.
I have one. I have where you can run the things doing I tell.
So you could like say you create a song and you could put the song in and see if, you know.
These days there's so many ways to do that. Yes.
But laziness prevents people, and greed, and you want it out now like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I have a pretty good ear, you know, and I can hear, like, you know, I can, like, you play me something, I'm like, that's so-and-so from 19, whatever. And I'm honest with a person, you're going to come after you for X amount of dollars, as they should.
Right.
You know, but, you know, you got so much at your hands, technology-wise, there's no reason for it. Because today's youth, you know, young and old, if you're playing with music, you have so many options. You could be Beethoven in your basement because you got everything there. You understand? Those guys had to fly people in, you know, hire the bass guy, get this guy, if you can find him, if he's not playing in the band or he's not drunk, you gotta, you know, so those nights matter of them making music and laying down tracks for decades, you know. It's just, I don't know. Me personally, I just think, you know, when I get back to the human element, we got to have some kind of compassion, because, you know, these are people's lives that we think we take for granted, that it's just fun. Music looks fun. It all looks fun, but this is a business. Yeah. This is work to, you know, to a lot of people. So
I agree with what you say. And my answer, favorite band, three bands are tied. Beatles, Goo Goo Dolls, and Queen.
Oh, Queen, yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's like my second.
Did you watch the movie Bohemian Rhapsody?
I watched it 5 times, literally 5 times.
Do you think Freddie Mercury could have been the best lead singer ever?
I don't know, because Stephen Perry, I don't know. Yes. I don't know with that. You know, there's so many. You know, there's so many. But he was up there. He set the bar high. He set the bar very high.
Okay, next question.
Well, before you
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, and you'll understand this better than Jim will. Kids these days don't understand that there is a difference between Enya and Portishead. They think the process is the same.
Well, you know, a lot of that, the mindset. You understand? So if you have that mindset, they're gonna think that. And today we're living among a society where no one wants to learn history. No one wants to read. No one checks the information. No one checks anything out. It's just boom. That's what it is.
Right.
So
Well, could you explain that? What did you say?
Sure. Enya was more similar to Prince in that she did her music by layering musical elements, but she created all the musical elements.
Did you play all the instruments like Prince too?
Yes, that's how she did her thing.
Yeah.
Portishead basically takes literally other musics, sounds, and whatnot, and runs them through a process to create their song. And part of that process might be, say, finding an old, say, Isaac Hayes album and letting it get warped, and now playing the warped record. So it's not the Isaac Hayes song, it's a warped version of Isaac Hayes' song, and now we're going to filter it this way and that way, and now I've created my own new unique. No, you didn't.
yeah.
So there's a big difference between Enya's layering and Portishead's layering. I'm not going to say that it's not, unique and has its own.
I mean,
value.
creativity is relative, but there's a fine line. Let's not go that far. I'm a firm believer. Like I am in no realm to tell who, what, where to be an artist. But I am. I know what they say, sugar from SHIT.
Right.
So you got to be honest. With me juggling. If I juggle all these pens around, it don't make me big.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So if I took it apart and created my own thing, now we're coming with some innovation and creativity. But again, we're in a what they call popularity. Right now you can't fight popularity because people will argue to death that you're wrong because that person's more popular. We associate that with success. We associate that with creativity. And the real creativity with the blood, sweat, and tears, and like you said, layering the instruments and learning how to play. I come from a time where growing up in music and sounding, you had to learn to play an instrument. I can play guitar. I can play piano. I know how to hear when a note is off. You had to do that, where now you're not exactly required to be connected to that instrument. So now I can communicate with the sound guy and be like, yo, you're a little off. When they went to, when you're going to the bridge, you kind of fell off there. Where now everything sounds good.
Right.
Because if it's someone's buying, it's good. But hey, it's all relative. I just think there's a space for everybody, but I think the culture and the history and the contents of creativity organically is missing. No one wants to touch it because they're lazy.
I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, next question. Fred. Favorite poet?
Well, I remember a particular poem I really liked more than any other. So I'm going to name Susan Prince, and she wrote a poem was about her father and how when she was young she felt like a little kid, squeamish about fish. So he broke her in on the fish by working with memos, like a father, treating. Later on in life, he knew she was feminist, and he knew that he was kind of patriarchal. So at one point he asked, well, what about me? And so he wanted to know what she was going to say about him. And to be honest, she wasn't going to say you're just fine, but she also wasn't going to be cruel. So she found a way to kind of tell him in a nice way, the same way he broke her in on the fish. And she wrote a whole poem about that, explaining that. And if you understood the background of it, I can't remember the poem by heart, but I have it at home, and I even mentioned it to her when her father passed away. But if you understand the whole background of it, I found that poem very meaningful, because I know the background and why she wrote it and stuff like that. Now, if you read the poem without understanding all that, it might mean nothing to you, But to me, it has a personal meaning to me because I knew her and I knew how she felt and stuff like that.
Okay, good answer. Okay, James, favorite poet?
I'd have to say Roger Waters.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yes.
Can you recite one of his poems?
That would take too long. We're talking Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. I can say that definitely The Wall and The Final Cut would be my favorite things. And one thing that a lot of people missed is that when you start, CDs helped people expose this part, but when you were actually playing it on an album, when you put the needle down on the wall, it begins with the words, "We came in." And then the music starts, which makes no sense to you. But at the end of the album, at the end of the last song, it says, "Isn't this weird?"
We came in.
If you have the CD, you catch that part. And Roger Waters, years and years, I'll even go so far as say, more than a decade later, said that looking back over the work, he decided that it was too bleak a thing and that he needed to break the cycle, and wrote the song "The Tide is Turning" as a way to be an antidote to the depressing state that The Wall shows as a recurring cycle.
Okay, that surprised me. I thought you would say Robert Frost or somebody like that. Okay, Tammy, favorite poet?
I have two because it's a tie.
Okay.
My light side and my dark side. My light side is James Baldwin. My dark side, Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm always into the light and dark. So I just like, they're both on the same scale.
I can understand that.
So
Okay, mine. I'll do the same thing. Light side, dark side. Dark side, favorite poet, Charles Bukowski.
wow.
Light side, Al Stewart, the guy that wrote Time Passages, Year of the Cat, and that. Okay, next part of the show is I'm asking myself and all three of my guests either to read one of their poems, say their favorite quote, or contribute something. So this is a poem that was motivated by a friend who died at 43 from lung cancer. So here it goes. It's sort of a weird poem, so don't laugh or fall asleep. Here it is. Milk. Raw cow's milk or pasteurized cow's milk or soy milk? What shall I drink? Oh, the decisions of life. I was taught that I am supposed to know myself and be true to myself, but that is easier said than done. There is supposed to be a reason for everything. My sister had cancer. What is the reason for this? Thoreau says, simplify, simplify. How am I supposed to simplify when the culture and a lot of people are trying to complicate my life? I need to somehow keep plugging away at all these challenges. Ta-da, that's it. So, comments, Fred?
Me on what you said, or
No, on the poem. Because once you read your poem or quotes, I'm going to ask for comments around the table.
I don't have any.
Okay, you don't have any comments. Okay, James Walker, any comments on the poem?
No, sorry.
The cold milk.
Yeah.
And I will apologize to my poetry teacher, Carol Pasnick.
Okay. All right, so we'll go to Fred Mohr. You got a poem to read or a favorite quote? Or
I will go to, because to me, in my lifetime, some of the most meaningful poems or songs came from when I was involved in religion. And when I think of it like the one, when I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. And it goes on and on with every other verse in it, totally putting himself down and negating himself and totally putting Christ 100% first.
yes.
And this is an essential part of traditional Christianity, which I don't agree with at all anymore. But it shows how powerful the religion is. that many people actually do this. It's like one woman said, I would rather have my husband love Jesus than love me. This religion requires you, this religion, its very nature, you become nothing, and it's Jesus that becomes everything.
Yeah, well, my comments on that is I really don't understand. Like, I was raised a strict Catholic, and I don't understand, like, all the negative stuff in being a Catholic and being Christianity. It just sort of, like, really turned me off, and I think it turned a lot of people off to the religion. So I don't really understand it, why they do this stuff, and they sort of teach unrealistic stuff. Like, they say, having sex with a condom, that's a sin. You can't do it. So they, because of that, they taught this in third world countries, and it led to a lot of unwanted pregnancies. So I don't really understand it. Like, me and my brother and two sisters were brought up strict Catholics, and we just were turned off completely by all the negative nonsense in the religion.
Well, one of the things and David Bentley Hart, who's a Eastern Orthodox theologian, is starting to attack the teaching on hell, and so did Lewis Carroll. But if you go into Protestant Christianity, and you go into Roman Catholic Christianity, and even go into Islam, the majority of believers in those three religions believe in a religion where a God of love is going to burn millions of people forever in hell. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm taking a look back on it, and even though I did believe it at one time, a God would do that's an evil God.
So James, any comments on Fred's poem?
Well, I would want to say something based on what you just said, which is it's a very interesting concept and one of the things that helped me out was the Jordan Peterson lectures when he was talking about the subject of God. He said that it helps to think that God is not the entity that people think of, more or less something akin to gravity. Because gravity doesn't care. It's just that if you step off of this ledge, you fall. And all of these other things are people trying to put forth a guiding light to the future generations. And so the idea of sacrifice isn't the thing that people think of. Why would this fool take his son up to the hill to kill him just because, some voice in his head said so? It's more setting up the idea that everything you do is creating a potential in the future and taking away a potential in the future. And so if you do certain things, you're accumulating momentum in a certain direction. And so in that way, God is the gravitational force that pulls you towards what you are propelling yourself towards by your cumulative actions.
Okay.
That's a nice statement.
So I was going to say, Tabby, you got any comments on what Fred?
No, I was just, I wanted to read something. This is a, what they call Bonnie Adam. This is a, because I'm big on, remember we talked about humanity. This is a Persian Muslim polymath. He wrote this poem in the 13th century, and it goes as such: human beings are members of a whole, in a creation of one's essence and soul. If one member is afflicted with pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, the name of human you cannot remain.
Wow, that's a great poem.
So.
Who's the author of that poem?
This is Sadia Badi. I'll post it under the link so people can go
Okay.
right to it. Under this link, you'll have the name and the poem. But, as I spoke earlier on touching us back to our human element
Right.
and what connects us, and as these gentlemen talked about the godliness and religion, and when you miss that connection with human being, you begin to place it elsewhere. So
So Fred, you got any comments on Tammy's poem?
No.
And James, any comments on Tammy's poem?
Oh,
Okay, so James, what's your poem quote or saying, or what are you going to contribute?
well, I'm going to have to read this off of my phone because I don't know it by heart.
Okay.
But some people will recognize this. It's called True Faith. I feel so extraordinary. Some things got a hold on me. I get this feeling I'm in motion, a certain sense of liberty. I don't care because I'm not there, and I don't care if I'm here tomorrow. Again and again, I've taken too much of the things that cost you too much. I guess there's a theme here. I used to think that the day would never come. I'd see the light in the shade of the morning sun. My morning sun is the drug that brings me near to the childhood I lost, replaced by fear. I used to think that the day would never come, that my life would depend on the morning sun. When I was a very small boy, very small boys talked to me. Now that we're all grown up together, they're afraid of what they see. That's the price that we all pay. Our valued destiny comes to nothing. I can't tell you where we're going. I guess there's just no way of knowing.
Wow, that's
nice.
a great
That was
poem.
good one, too.
Yeah. So what does that poem mean to you?
Well, for me, it's the experience of going from childhood to adulthood, where you go from thinking that you have all the time in the world and nothing really matters, to realizing just how much time you've wasted.
Yeah.
And I want to say there's a certain part of that when I used to hear it. Have you ever had a situation where your misheard is better than what's actually there? In the part where they say, our valued destiny comes to nothing, I always thought the line was, without you, destiny comes to nothing.
Yeah.
Which I think is a much more profound statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tammy, you got any comments on that?
No, I concur. Everything, So I think self-growth, how we reach, each because destination, people think of destination, think of one final point.
Right.
And destination could be your growth, whether it's your career, whether it's your family, whether you get married, you divorce, remarried again. So we all have many destinations. So it's like, life is a cycle of, different things. And like you said, you wasted time, and your destination could be prolonged because you're wasting, time focusing on the wrong thing or the wrong people, and you're not moving forward. So you find yourself, in a monotonous pattern, and that you have to self-break. So, but that was a pretty good point.
Yeah, I agree. So Fred, any comments on James Walker's poem?
Well, kind of, and when he's talking about wasted time, I feel that I've wasted a lot of the time when I'm retired, and I think the way a lot of, people who preach and other thing, I think the problem with me and the problem with most people is not the bad things they do, because most of us don't do really bad things.
Most people sin by omission.
The greatest sins we commit is by not doing some of the good things we can.
Right. Okay, so that was a good comment. All right, next question. Favorite wrestler?
Oh, the favorite wrestler that I have of all of them, I got to go back and I don't know. How about Jesse Ventura, because he became a politician too?
Governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura. Yeah. All right, I liked him. Okay, James Walker, favorite wrestler?
I got to be boring on this. Ric Flair.
Woo!
Ooh.
I gotta back him up. Look. I'm the queen of bling. I love bling, so I gotta go with Ric Flair too. He brought the. You know what? Rodney Savage.
Right.
That was another
Macho
one.
Man.
Macho Man. So
Yeah.
I would say they brought that like high energy, that intensity, that anticipation, but I would go with Ric Flair too because I like the over the top. I'm the greatest type of.
One of my favorite things that happened was there was a stand-up comic who was talking about things that women don't understand about men, and he says pro wrestling, and of course there's lots of giggles in the audience, and he says we're talking about some of the most well-known, biggest, larger-than-life heroes of all. And he just starts naming names, and he's like Hulk Hogan, Randy Macho Man Savage, Scott Hall, and he says Ric Flair, and of course, what does the audience do? Woo! And he says, "We didn't plan that. That just happened. Think about it. This is a human being who has his own sound."
Yeah.
But I would say too. I'll be honest. China and Ric Flair, I would say. Because China, to me, as far as like, I was always into like working out and being like, like she was like, she could take a dude down. So she was like the cheerleader for women who like to go against guys and do her thing. I would say China.
She's from Rochester, right?
Huh?
She's from Rochester.
Exactly. China and Ric Flair, same level to me.
All right, so my answer would be, I would say Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. You remember Ernie the Big Cat Ladd?
Yes.
The king of wrestling. And I like that also, the guy, Ivan Putski, Polish Power.
Yes, Polish Power.
Yes.
Ivan Putski.
And then, remember Haystacks Calhoun?
Yes.
And I also thought this guy was sort of nuts, but it was like ridiculous. Mr. Perfect, do you ever remember him?
Yeah, I remember him.
Hitting.
Yeah.
So they would introduce him, and then they'd show him roll a perfect game in bowling and that. So, yeah. That's about it. So, anyways, next question. Fred, favorite TV show?
Oh, let me see. The favorite TV show that I saw. Oh.
I figured you would say Star Trek.
Well, yeah, I like Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I did like that. And you know what I'm gonna go for? I'm gonna go for a comedian show. I'm gonna go for the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah, that was a funny show.
That's
That was
classic.
And I always liked her. I enjoyed watching her. It was fun to see her.
She had some good guests, Tim Conway and others. Okay, James Walker, favorite TV show?
I'm going to have to go with Firefly,
Firefly.
which I guess you've never seen.
I mean, I heard of, but I don't remember it. What was that what about?
It was a show that got buried because it's really about making people think. Joss Whedon was looking at the fact that everybody wants to remake Star Trek. Everybody wants to have their own Star Trek. And he said, I'm tired of this thing where everybody has this idea that humans figure it out and we abolish money and we sing Kumbaya and everything's free and everybody loves everybody and there's no racism and there's no people killing each other over stupid stuff. He says, what makes you think that 40,000 years in the future, it won't just be the same crap with different stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so the premise of Firefly is that the United States and China became the last superpowers, fought it out in a big nuclear war that ruined the planet. We had to spread out through the universe, and now everything we have left is this mishmash of American, Chinese, high-tech, low-tech. So people are actually shooting each other with cowboy rifles that just happen to shoot lasers. And one of my favorite parts of the show is something that many people miss. A battle cruiser basically pulls over their little Cavalier, Firefly, and rousts them because their inspection sticker is expired.
It sounds interesting. I need to watch this, but I wonder what channel plays the reruns.
Well, see, this is the pain of every Firefly fan. They only got to do one season and one movie. But the question becomes, how good is this series where on the strength of one season...
They did a movie.
Yes!
Yeah.
And then they buried the damn movie. It was supposed to come out during the Christmas season, and it got pushed off and released in March. Because that's a great time to release a movie.
When nobody's watching.
But it's probably on YouTube, so it sounds interesting.
You can probably see it streaming on, I think, Hulu. If it's not on Hulu, I think it would be Amazon. I know Netflix isn't showing it right now.
Well, one of the shows I think was one of my favorites has to be The Muppet Show. And like one person commented, he said, here you have this show, and these top stars are going on it, and they're being shown up by a pig. The pig has the better lines.
Okay, Tammy, favorite TV show?
Law and Order, hands down. I'm addicted to Law and Order. I'm addicted. You know, my kids argue with me that I've seen this episode before. I would argue down like, no, I missed the part. So I even watch reruns, you know, and I binge when I have time to like catch up. And like I did last night. So Law and Order was my favorite. And I got a chance to actually see them filming it like 3 times.
Really?
And I was in New York when it was filmed. I was hyped because of that. But Law and Order, hands down.
Okay. Well, I guess some of my favorite TV shows were Taxi, Barney Miller, Cheers. And I want to throw this one comment. This one person I know, he keeps saying that Star Trek's a way of life. And I'm thinking, it was on 3 years. How could it be a way of life?
Now, you guys are going to hate me.
Yeah.
My kids were like, Mom, don't go on record saying that. I never watched Star Trek or what's the other one? There's Star Wars and there's Star Trek.
Yes, Star Wars.
I get them confused. I thought it was the same thing. I'm like, they just did this already. I'm like, no, that's Star Trek. This is Star Wars. So
well, Star Wars is the same story. What is it, 9 times now?
Yeah, I never got into...
Well, Star Trek's in the future. Star Wars is back in the past.
I just thought it was the same. I just thought it was continuation.
Well, Star Wars is, I like it. One thing I like about Star Wars.
Now, who wears the black? That's the black.
That's Vader.
Darth Vader.
Which is that Star Trek
Wars.
or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I like that guy.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars has, if you get into it, they have more about the individual planets and the flora and fauna on it and all the machines and stuff like that, where Star Trek doesn't give you as much of that. I like the interplay between the character as in Next Generation, and but now they got so many spin-off with Star Trek. They say that the one with Picard, because he's playing Picard as an 80-year-old man. He's an 80-year-old man himself. They say that's pretty good, but I didn't care for the story so much as the interplay between the individual characters. I kind of did like that. But the thing is that now they got so many spin-offs of it and everything else.
Yeah, I've never saw either.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I kind of wonder, but geez, when you get into the future and you have all these advanced civilization, what they're going to do with all their technology is to fight wars. I mean, that isn't a
Show's over.
And while it makes an interesting show, the absurdity of it is, why would these future civilizations be fighting wars when the technology they have would allow them to destroy whole planets? Nobody in the galaxy would survive such a war.
But see, that is the basis of Firefly. It's the same stuff, different technology. And the reason why they're in this weird juxtaposition between technology and poverty is because they did, in fact, blow each other up.